The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chambers glittered as thousands of light sources activated, signaling the start of the 437th special session. Ambassador Zixtal stood at the central podium, his four arms raised to quiet the assembled representatives. His blue skin reflected the lights as he brought down his crystalline gavel 3 times. "This session will now begin," he announced, his voice translator converting his natural harmonic tones into the standard galactic language. "We gather today to discuss the human question." A mix of rumbles, clicks, whistles, and electronic tones filled the chamber. Over 300 species had sent representatives to this important meeting. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others sat in specialized seats, and a few existed as pure energy contained in special vessels. "Order, please," Zixtal called again. "We will hear arguments in turn." Far away, at humanity's first deep space outpost near Alpha Centauri, Captain John Miller floated in zero gravity, tightening a bolt on an external communications array. The Earth-like planet spun below him, beautiful and blue. "Hand me the phase wrench, would you, Susan?" he asked through his helmet mic. Lieutenant Susan Carter pushed herself across the station's hall, the wrench in her gloved hand. "Here you go, Captain. Everything okay with the array?" "Just routine maintenance," John replied. "Though I'm getting some strange feedback on Band 7. Probably just solar interference." The feedback wasn't solar interference. Unknown to the two humans, their communications array had briefly picked up encrypted transmissions from cloaked observation vessels monitoring the outpost. Back in the council chambers, Ambassador Krell of the Drakari Collective rose to speak. His reptilian form towered over many of the other representatives, scales bristling with agitation. The Drakari were known for their military might and suspicion of new species. "Esteemed colleagues," Krell began, his forked tongue flicking between sharp teeth, "I have studied the humans extensively. These creatures have killed millions of their own kind in wars over resources, territory, and even abstract concepts like ideology." He gestured with a clawed hand, and holographic images appeared in the center of the chamber. They showed scenes from human history, World War I battles, nuclear explosions, and modern conflicts. "They split the atom only to weaponize it," Krell continued. "They developed flight only to create bombing machines. They poison their own world while fighting amongst themselves. And now they reach for the stars." He paused dramatically. "I say we contain them to their solar system before they bring their violence to us all." Many representatives nodded or made their species equivalent gestures of agreement. In the NASA Control Center on Earth, Dr. Alan Hoffman stared at his monitor with confusion. "Lisa, are you seeing this?" he called to his colleague. Dr. Lisa Young moved to his station, her brow furrowed. "What am I looking at?" "Energy signatures in high orbit. They're small, almost undetectable, but they're not satellites or space junk." Ellen pointed to several blips on his screen. "They move with purpose, and sometimes they just disappear from our sensors completely." "Stealth technology," Lisa suggested. "If it is, it's nothing we've developed," Ellen replied quietly. At the council, the debate continued. Ambassador Ilara of the Luminary rose next, her translucent skin glowing softly with bioluminescent patterns. The Luminary were among the oldest species in the galaxy, known for their wisdom and artistic achievements. "While Krell speaks truth about human violence," she began, her voice melodic, "he tells only part of their story. New images replaced those of warfare, the Sistine Chapel, children playing, doctors saving lives, astronauts planting flags on their moon. Humans are contradictory beings," Ilara continued. "They wage war, then rebuild what they destroyed. They create weapons, but also medicine. They show both great cruelty and remarkable compassion." Her skin pulsed with colors. "No other species in our records has shown such capacity for both destruction and redemption." The chamber grew quiet as the representatives considered her words. What kind of species could be so divided in nature? And what would it mean for the galaxy if humans joined them among the stars? I propose a formal investigation, Ambassador Zixtal said finally. We will send observers to study them more closely before making our decision. No one noticed that humans had already detected signs of their presence. Ambassador Ilara's glowing form moved gracefully across the council chamber as she continued her defense of humanity. The light patterns on her skin shifted to show calm confidence. Look closer at their history, she urged the assembled representatives. Humans have overcome slavery, defeated diseases, and created art that speaks across their cultural boundaries. They dream of peace even while they prepare for war. The chamber filled with new holographic images, human medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration projects, and international cooperation efforts. They call their space agency NASA, not Space Force or Star Command. Ilara continued. Their first words from another world were about steps for all mankind, not conquest. Ambassador Krell hissed softly. Pretty words and images do not change their violent nature. On Earth, Dr. Alan Hoffman worked through the night analyzing the strange energy signatures. The mysterious objects in orbit moved in patterns that defied normal satellite behavior. They appeared to be observing Earth systematically. I've matched their appearance with major population centers, Dr. Lisa Young said, pointing to her screen. Beijing, New York, London, Tokyo. They're studying us. Alan rubbed his tired eyes. If I didn't know better, I'd say we're being watched by. Don't say it, Lisa warned. Aliens, Alan finished anyway. We need to tell someone. Who would believe us without solid proof? Lisa asked. We'd be laughed out of NASA. In the council chambers, a new speaker rose to address the gathered representatives. This one had no physical form at all, just a swirling mass of purple mist contained in a special force field. This was Ambassador Nexus of the Nebulon, a species of pure energy beings known for their telepathic abilities. We sense great danger and great potential in these humans, Nexus said, their thoughts converted to speech by the translation system. Their minds are chaotic, filled with contradictions. They can hate and love the same thing. They fight for peace. They destroy to create. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. Many species found such contradictions disturbing or even impossible. How can a rational species function with such opposing drives? Asked a representative of the mechanids, their metallic body gleaming under the lights. Our probability calculations suggest they should have destroyed themselves centuries ago. That is precisely what makes them remarkable, Ilara responded. They defy logical prediction. Near Alpha Centauri, Captain John Miller and Lieutenant Susan Carter finished their maintenance work and returned inside the station. John downloaded the communication logs and frowned. That's strange, he murmured. The array picked up some kind of encrypted transmission. Susan looked over his shoulder. Could it be from Earth? No, the signal pattern is all wrong. And look at these frequency shifts. I've never seen anything like it. Should we report it? Susan asked. John hesitated. Let's analyze it first. I don't want to cause a panic over what might just be equipment malfunction. Ambassador Zixtal raised all four of his hands to quiet the increasingly heated debate in the council chamber. We have talked much but decided nothing, he said firmly. I propose we send a small team to observe humans directly. Not from orbit, but on their planet, hidden among them. Ambassador Krull's scales flared. Too dangerous. If they discover us before we're ready, they might respond with violence. We will use our best concealment technology, Zixtal assured him. The team will observe only, not interact. The mechanid representative's eyes glowed brighter. Our calculations indicate a 27.3% chance of discovery if the mission lasts longer than 3 Earth months. A risk we must take, Ilara insisted. We cannot judge them fairly without closer observation. The vote was taken. The motion passed by a narrow margin. A team would be sent to Earth to live among humans, hidden and observing. Choose the team carefully, Zixtal instructed. They must remain undetected at all costs. If humans discover they are being watched and judged by the galaxy, their reaction could determine everything. As the council adjourned, Dr. Alan Hoffman was submitting a confidential report to his superiors. The report's title, Evidence of Non-Earth Technology in Orbit. The wheels of first contact had begun to turn. The Wyoming wilderness stretched out in all directions, tall pines and rocky outcrops bathed in moonlight. Hidden within a small valley, the alien observation team had established their base camp. Their ship, no larger than a small bus, sat invisible under its cloaking field. Vrilnax, the mission leader, checked the perimeter sensors one last time before addressing his team of 5 specialists. "Remember our mission parameters," the tall, gray-skinned xenanthropologist said quietly. "Observe only. No contact with humans under any circumstances." The team nodded. They had been specially selected for this mission, each modified to appear somewhat human if glimpsed from a distance, though none could pass close inspection. Their ship contained advanced monitoring equipment that tapped into human communications networks, allowing them to study everything from television broadcasts to private phone calls. "Their communications reveal much about them," said Tesley, the cultural analyst. "They argue constantly about resources, beliefs, and territories, yet they also share jokes across these boundaries." Vrilnax was about to respond when a proximity alarm beeped softly. Someone was approaching their hidden camp. Park Ranger Frank Bennett loved the night shift. The quiet, the stars, the feeling of being alone with nature, it centered him. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness as he made his routine patrol through the national park. Frank paused, frowning. Something felt off. He played his light across the valley floor, but saw nothing unusual. Still, 20 years as a ranger had given him good instincts. He decided to check closer. As Frank approached the hidden ship, he passed through its perimeter sensors. Inside, the alien team watched him with growing alarm. "He's heading directly toward us," whispered Kiv, the security specialist. "The cloaking field doesn't hide us from physical contact." "Prepare for evasive measures," Vrilnax ordered. "We cannot be discovered." Frank's boot struck something metallic that he couldn't see. He knelt down, puzzled, running his hand along what felt like smooth metal, but appeared to be empty air. His radio crackled. "Frank, you there?" It was Olivia Diaz, his fellow ranger. Before he could answer, a flash of blue light surrounded him. Frank collapsed to the ground, unconscious. "Containment breach," Kiv shouted. "The human has detected our presence." "Bring him inside," Vrilnax ordered reluctantly. "We need to assess how much he's discovered." The team carried Frank's unconscious body into their ship. For the first time, a human entered a vessel of the Galactic Council, not as a dignitary, but as a security risk. Back at Ranger headquarters, Olivia tried the radio again. "Frank? Come in, Frank." Nothing but static answered her. She checked her watch. Frank was always punctual with his check-ins. This wasn't like him. "Something's wrong," she muttered, grabbing her gear. "I'm going to check his patrol route." In the council chambers light years away, Ambassador Zixtal received an urgent communication. His expression darkened as he read the message. "There has been an incident," he announced to the emergency session. "The observation team has been discovered by a human." The chamber erupted in shouts and calls. "What did I tell you?" Ambassador Krell roared. "These humans are too perceptive and too dangerous." "What actions has the team taken?" asked the Mechanid representative. "They have contained the human for questioning," Zixtal replied grimly. Ambassador Ilara's bioluminescent patterns flashed with alarm. "They've taken a human captive. This changes everything. First contact was not supposed to happen like this." "This is no longer observation," Zixtal agreed. "This is now first contact, and it has begun with what humans would consider an abduction." At NASA headquarters, Dr. Alan Hoffman's report had reached the desk of the director, who immediately contacted National Security. Within hours, satellite surveillance was redirected to the Wyoming region, where the energy signatures had been strongest. Major Greg Peterson of Special Operations received his orders with skepticism. Aliens? In Wyoming. But satellite data didn't lie, and strange readings were definitely coming from the national park. Assemble your team, his commander ordered. Full tactical gear, but no engagement without authorization. If there are visitors from beyond Earth, we need to know their intentions. As Frank Bennett slowly regained consciousness aboard the alien vessel, the first official, though unintended, meeting between humanity and the galactic community was about to begin, and neither side was prepared for it. Frank Bennett's eyes opened slowly. A bright light shone above him, and his head throbbed. He tried to sit up but found his arms and legs wouldn't move. They weren't tied down. They simply felt heavy, as if gravity had doubled. "Hello," he called out, surprised by how calm his voice sounded despite his racing heart. "Is anyone there?" The space around him was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls curved in strange angles, made of a material that seemed to shift colors slightly. No screws, no seams, no joints, as if the entire room had been grown rather than built. A panel in the wall slid open, and Frank caught his breath. The figure that entered was clearly not human. Tall and gray-skinned with large, oval eyes and four-fingered hands, it approached cautiously. "You are awake." "Good," the being said in accented but understandable English. "I am Frilnax. We did not intend for this meeting to happen." Frank swallowed hard. 20 years as a park ranger had prepared him for bear attacks and lost hikers, not aliens. Yet something in him remained steady. "I'm Frank Bennett. Did you bring me here?" "Yes. You discovered our ship. We had to prevent you from alerting others." "You're studying us," Frank said, the pieces falling into place. All those UFO sightings over the years, some of them were real, weren't they? Outside the alien vessel, Olivia Diaz followed Frank's last known coordinates. Her flashlight beam caught something unusual on the ground, a perfect circle where the pine needles and dirt had been disturbed. Setting down her backpack, she took out a portable scanner, originally designed to find lost hikers by detecting body heat. The scanner went crazy, showing energy readings off the charts, yet there was nothing visible. Olivia took out her satellite phone and called park headquarters. "I need backup at these coordinates," she said, "and contact the military. Something very strange is happening here." At the edge of the park, Major Greg Peterson's team arrived in unmarked vehicles. They set up a perimeter and deployed advanced detection equipment. Peterson studied the readings with a frown. "Whatever's out there is using some kind of cloaking technology," he told his second-in-command. "But it's not perfect. We're getting energy spikes every 7 minutes." "Rules of engagement, sir?" asked his lieutenant. Peterson considered this carefully. "Containment only. No aggressive action unless fired upon. If these are visitors from another world, we don't want to start an interstellar incident." In the council chambers, the emergency session had turned into chaos. Representatives shouted over each other as Ambassador Zixtal tried to maintain order. "The observation team reports the human is calm and attempting communication," Zixtal announced. "Impossible," Ambassador Krell hissed. "They should be violent, especially when captured." "Perhaps we have misjudged them," Ambassador Ilara suggested. The Mechanid representative's mechanical voice cut through the noise. "Our calculations did not predict this outcome. Human behavior does not match our models." On the alien ship, Frank was now sitting up, the gravity controls adjusted to Earth normal. He used simple drawings and gestures to supplement their limited verbal communication. "Why are you watching us?" Frank asked. Vrilnax hesitated, then decided honesty was the only option. "The Galactic Council is deciding whether humans are ready to join the wider community of intelligent species. Some believe you are too dangerous." "And what do you believe?" Frank asked. Before Vrilnax could answer, an alarm sounded. Kiv rushed into the room. "We are surrounded," the security specialist reported. "Human military forces have established a perimeter around our position." Outside, Major Peterson received new equipment brought by helicopter. an experimental communication device designed by Dr. Hoffman and Dr. Young, based on the strange signals they detected. If they're listening, maybe they'll talk back, Peterson said. He activated the device, which began broadcasting a simple mathematical sequence, prime numbers, the universal language. Inside the ship, the aliens heard the transmission. They're trying to communicate, Vrilnax said, sounding surprised. Not attack. Frank smiled slightly. Did you expect us to shoot first and ask questions later? Based on your history, yes, Vrilnax admitted. Well, Frank said, people can surprise you. Maybe that's something your council should know about humans. Frank Bennett sat across from Vrilnax at what seemed to be a meeting table. Using paper and a pen from his ranger kit, Frank drew simple diagrams to improve their communication. He sketched the solar system, then pointed to Earth. Home, he said, then pointed to Vrilnax. Where is your home? Vrilnax took the pen and drew additional circles beyond Frank's solar system, pointing to one near the edge of the paper. My species comes from here, but the council includes many worlds. Frank nodded, processing this information. The Galactic Council, like a United Nations for space. Similar, yes, Vrilnax agreed. We debate, we vote, we make rules for interaction between worlds. Frank leaned forward. And you're deciding whether to let us join. The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. Some fear you. Your history shows great violence. Frank smiled sadly. We're not perfect, but we're learning. Outside the invisible ship, Dr. Lisa Young arrived by helicopter, carrying specialized equipment. Major Peterson briefed her quickly. Something's in there, but we can't see it. And your mathematical broadcast got a response. Lisa checked her devices. They sent back the next 5 numbers in the sequence. They're intelligent, and they want to talk. Can you build on that? Peterson asked. Create some kind of translation system. Lisa nodded, already connecting components. The basics of mathematics and physics are universal. I can build from there. At the council chambers, Ambassador Zixtal received new updates from the observation team. The massive viewing screen showed images transmitted from Earth, military vehicles surrounding the invisible ship, but no weapons fired. They have detected our team, but have not attacked, Zixtal announced. They are attempting communication. Ambassador Krell paced angrily. This is not how they should behave. All our studies of their conflicts suggest they would respond with immediate force when threatened. Ambassador Ilara's skin glowed with interest. Perhaps we have been studying only one aspect of their nature. The human inside the ship is helping our team understand their communications, Zixtal continued. He appears curious rather than afraid. The Nebulon representative, Nexus, swirled thoughtfully in their containment field. We sense a shift in the path of probability. This unexpected first contact may change everything. Inside the ship, one of the alien devices began making noise. Vrilnax checked it and looked at Frank with surprise. Your people have created a basic translation algorithm. They're sending mathematical concepts paired with simple vocabulary. Dr. Young, Frank said with a smile. She's brilliant with patterns and codes. Vrilnax hesitated, then made a decision. The cloaking field is draining our power reserves. We cannot maintain it indefinitely. Your ship will become visible, Frank realized. Yes, and the Council is sending a diplomatic vessel. They were not prepared for direct contact so soon. Frank thought quickly. Let me talk to my people first. I can explain what's happening. Help prevent panic. The alien studied him, then nodded. This supports what Ambassador Ilara claimed about your species. You seek to solve problems peacefully when given the chance. Outside, Dr. Young's makeshift translation system received a new message. Her eyes widened as she decoded it. Major Peterson, the message is in English now. It says, preparing to reveal ship. Frank Bennett is safe. Request peaceful dialogue. Peterson grabbed his radio. All units, stand by. First contact protocols are now in effect. No aggressive moves under any circumstances. The air in the center of their perimeter began to shimmer and distort. Slowly, a sleek metallic vessel appeared, unlike any human craft. Its surface seemed to flow like liquid metal while maintaining a solid form. The ship's entry ramp lowered, and Frank Bennett walked out, followed by a tall, gray-skinned being. A collective gasp spread through the human forces. "My name is Frank Bennett," he called out clearly. "This is Vrilnax from the Galactic Council Observation Team. They come in peace, and they have something important to tell us about our place in the galaxy." As cameras from the hastily assembled media crews captured the moment, humanity's first official alien encounter was broadcast around the world. In living rooms and government offices across the globe, people watched in stunned silence as everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe changed forever. 3 days after the ship revealed itself, President Samantha Cole stood behind a podium at the White House. The world's leaders had been in constant emergency meetings, trying to form a unified response to the revelation that Earth was being evaluated by a galactic civilization. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "After careful consideration and consultation with leaders around the world, I have accepted the invitation to address the Galactic Council on humanity's behalf." Reactions varied across the globe. Some people celebrated in the streets, viewing this as humanity's greatest moment. Others stockpiled supplies, fearing alien invasion. Religious leaders debated what this meant for their faiths, while scientists excitedly analyzed the limited alien technology they had been permitted to see. At the Wyoming site, now a bustling international compound, a larger vessel had arrived from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Zixtal himself had come to escort the human delegation. The council was not prepared for direct contact, Zixtal explained to President Cole. "But now that it has happened, we must proceed formally." "Why were you watching us secretly?" Cole asked directly. Zixtal's 4 arms moved in a gesture of acknowledgement. "Some council members believe humans are too dangerous to join galactic society. Others see your potential. We needed more information before deciding. So we're on trial," the president said. "In a sense, yes," Zixtal admitted. President Cole nodded firmly. "Then we'll present our case." The human delegation was carefully selected. President Cole would lead, with Frank Bennett included because of his successful first contact. Dr. Alan Hoffman and Dr. Lisa Young would represent scientific knowledge, while Major Peterson would address military concerns. Olivia Dias was added for her environmental expertise. The journey through space amazed the humans. The alien ship entered what Zixtal called a fold point, and suddenly the stars blurred. Hours later, they arrived at a massive space station, the headquarters of the Galactic Council. "My God," breathed Dr. Hoffman as they docked. "It's bigger than Manhattan." The station housed representatives from over 300 species, each with their own environmental needs. The humans were given special breathing apparatuses for areas with different atmospheric compositions. As they walked through the grand corridors, aliens of all descriptions stared at them. Some looked almost human. Others were utterly unlike anything on Earth. Beings of crystal, of gas, of light itself. "They're afraid of us," Olivia whispered, noticing how some creatures moved away as they passed. "Yes," Frank replied. "Vrilnax told me that many species evolved without predators on their worlds. The idea of a species that evolved while being hunted, and that hunted others, is terrifying to them." The council chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered. Thousands of representatives watched from their specialized seating areas. A translation system had been prepared so everyone could understand each other. President Cole stepped forward to address the assembled aliens. Her voice remained calm, but her hands gripped the podium tightly. "Respected members of the Galactic Council, I come before you as a representative of humanity. We are honored to learn we are not alone in this vast universe." She paused, looking around the chamber. "I understand you have been observing us, debating whether we are ready to join your community. You have seen our wars, our divisions, our failings. I will not deny these exist, but they are not the whole story of who we are. The chamber remained silent, all attention focused on this human female who stood without visible fear before the assembled power of the galaxy. We have made terrible mistakes throughout our history. We have hurt each other and our planet. But we have also created art that makes people weep with its beauty. We have sacrificed for strangers. We have sent our machines to the edges of our solar system, not to conquer, but simply to learn. Ambassador Krell rose from his seat, scales bristling. Pretty words do not erase your violent history. No, they don't, Cole agreed calmly. But our history is still being written, and perhaps the very traits you fear, our adaptability, our determination, our willingness to fight when necessary, might someday be valuable to this council. A murmur spread through the chamber. This was not the defensive plea many had expected, but a calm acknowledgement of human nature, both its darkness and its light. The council chamber hummed with quiet conversations as representatives discussed President Cole's words. Ambassador Krell continued to argue against human inclusion, projecting images of Earth's wars onto the large viewing screens. Look at their history. They fight over invisible lines on their planet. They kill for resources they could share. Some even kill for ideas. His voice rose with each statement. If we let them join us, they will bring chaos. The Mechanid representative added cold logic to Krell's emotional appeal. Our simulations show a 76.2% probability that introducing humans to galactic technology will result in at least one interstellar conflict within 50 years. The human delegation listened silently to these arguments, understanding for the first time how they appeared to the wider galaxy. Frank Bennett glanced at Major Peterson, who sat stiffly in his chair, clearly uncomfortable with how humanity was being portrayed. Then, unexpectedly, Frank stood up. "May I speak?" he asked, his voice carrying through the translation system. Ambassador Zixtal looked surprised but nodded. The council recognizes Frank Bennett of Earth. Frank walked to the center of the chamber, a simple park ranger now addressing the most powerful gathering in the galaxy. He took a deep breath. "I'm not a president or a scientist or a soldier. I'm just someone who takes care of a small piece of my planet. But I'd like to tell you something about humans that your observations might have missed." The chamber grew quiet. "Yes, we fight. Yes, we can be violent and destructive. But that's not all we are." Frank paused, gathering his thoughts. "When I first met Vrilnax on their ship, I was afraid. But I was also curious. That's the thing about humans. We can feel fear and wonder at the same time." Frank looked around at the alien faces, so different from his own. "We don't claim to be perfect. Our history is full of mistakes, but each generation tries to be better than the last. We learn from our errors. We evolve not just physically, but morally." Ambassador Ilara's bioluminescent patterns glowed with interest as Frank continued. "Maybe that's what you're really afraid of. Not that we'll always be violent, but that we change so quickly. In just a few hundred years, we went from burning people for heresy to establishing freedom of belief. From keeping slaves to fighting for equality. From poisoning our air to trying to clean it." The Nebulon representative, Nexus, swirled thoughtfully. "The human speaks truth. Their adaptability exceeds any species we have encountered." "Exactly," Frank said. "We don't ask you to accept us because we're perfect. We ask for a chance to learn, to grow, to be better, together with you." The council chambers fell silent as the representatives considered his words. Ambassador Zixtal called for the final vote. Tension filled the air as the results were calculated. President Cole reached over and squeezed Frank's hand as they waited. Finally, Ambassador Zixtal rose to announce the decision. "By a narrow margin, the Council has voted to offer humanity conditional membership in our galactic community." Relief washed over the human delegation, but Zixtal raised a hand. "However, the conditions are unprecedented. Instead of humans adapting to fit our norms, we will send representatives to live among humans, to learn from your adaptability, your creativity, your unique way of solving problems." Murmurs of surprise spread through the chamber. This was not how new species were typically integrated. "The Council believes," Zixtal continued, "that humanity may offer something the galaxy needs: fresh perspectives and different ways of thinking." As the human delegation prepared to return to Earth with news that would forever change human history, Ambassador Zixtal approached them privately. "There is something you should understand," he said quietly to President Cole. "Many species feared humans would destroy the galactic peace we've maintained for millennia." "And now?" Cole asked. "Now many fear you will save us," Zixtal replied. "There are threats at the edges of our known space, problems we haven't been able to solve with our traditional approaches. Your unpredictability, your ability to think in ways we cannot. It terrifies some council members." "Why?" Frank asked. "Because," Zixtal said, his forearms making a complex gesture, "we are not sure which possibility frightens us more, that humanity will bring destruction to the stars, or that we may soon depend on your unique nature to survive what's coming." As their ship departed for Earth, the humans looked out at the vastness of space with new eyes. They were no longer alone in the universe, and somehow, their very human nature, both frightening and inspiring, might be exactly what the galaxy needed most.